Enthusiasm. In my story, I've experienced a heart-wrenching betrayal, only to find strength and courage. I was once the girl abandoned by the one I loved, but fate made me a powerful single mother. After 5 years of separation, I returned with our child by his side. Facing the pain of the past and the uncertainty of the future, I had to make a choice: to keep running away or to face my former lover bravely and create a future for our child together. Prologue. Liddy, come on. Here we go. I sigh and sink deeper into my plush comforter, trying to ignore my best friend, Leonard, who's bouncing on the edge of my bed with infectious enthusiasm. Lily Aline Thompson, get up. We're going to that party, Leonard says as he yanks the covers off me, his eyes sparkling with mischief. Leonard, I don't want to go. I don't do parties. And Dylan barely knows my name anymore, so I don't think he'd be sad if I don't show up. My protests fall on deaf ears as Leonard, ever the social butterfly, rummages through my closet. He emerges triumphantly with a tight black dress, the one he bought me for Christmas, that I've been too self-conscious to wear. He knows your name. You're the Bater's daughter. You literally grew up with him. And even if he doesn't know your name, it doesn't matter. It's not like it's a private birthday and he's the only one going. The whole pack will be there, Leonard exclaims, fishing out my only pair of heels, intimidating 6-inch stilettos that make my ankles ache just looking at them. Do you know how much trouble I will get into if Lucas sees me drinking? And I know that is the only reason you want to go, because you don't even like Dylan. I counter, my introverted nature recoiling at the thought of a crowded party. Yes, I know how mad your sexy brother will be if he sees us drinking. But he won't. There will be tons of people there. And they will be so drunk. All we will be is a blur to them. So get dressed. I groan, knowing he's right but still hesitant. It's been ages since I've ventured out, and a small part of me wonders if this might be good for my perpetually low self-esteem. Reluctantly, I change into the tiny dress, immediately wanting to crawl back into my comfortable sweats. After a brief argument with Leonard, I compromise by swapping the ankle, breaking heels for more sensible sandals. Dylan Matthews, the soon-to-be alpha and my childhood friend, is hosting a birthday party tonight. The entire pack is invited, along with guests from neighboring packs. My brother Lucas, the future Beta, has explicitly warned me to stay away from alcohol. He's well aware of how I become when intoxicated, emotional and vulnerable. Despite being in my own pack, Lucas and I know there are a few wolves who would risk everything for a chance at, well, anything really. Lucas has always been fiercely protective of me. Throughout my 15 years, he's had to pick up the pieces far too many times after some guy has shattered my already fragile self-worth. Relationships have never been my strong suit. I tend to fall hard and fast for guys who are only interested in what's beneath my clothes, but I never realize it until it's too late. I've never given in to these jerks, partly because my strict parents wouldn't dream of allowing their teenage daughter to have a boy in her room. However, that hasn't stopped these creeps from trying something when we were away from home. Thankfully, being the Beta's daughter grants me enough strength to fend them off. I haven't had a boyfriend since the last one. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm. The broken arm he gave me felt like a warning from the moon goddess herself, a sign that I shouldn't date before finding my true mate. As I smooth down the dress and take a deep breath, I can't help but wonder if tonight's party will bring any changes to my cautious, guarded existence. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Looking like a whole meal. Girl, I just shake my head at Leonard with a smile on my face. He always knows how to boost my ego at just the right amount. Well, if that was the confidence boost, then I don't know what is. We laugh, and Leonard starts talking about finding our mates, a topic Leonard always brings up. Archie is a hopeless romantic and constantly talks about how he wants his mate to sweep him off his feet. I try to tell him that maybe he shouldn't put his standards so high so he doesn't get let down. But he never listens. Leonard is gay, So finding his mate in a pack with less than 10 gay wolves is a hard thing to do. Most guys don't find their mates until they're 18. But luckily, or not so lucky for me, us girls find them at 16. My birthday is in 2 months, so Wolf and I had been anxious. Just happy anxious, and in more dreading anxious. I don't not want a mate, but just not right now. After curling my hair and putting some lipstick and mascara, Leonard and I head out the door. I love the look of a full face of makeup, but I just don't feel up to it tonight. With my father being a beta, we live pretty close to the pack house, so as soon as we step out, we can hear and see the party. Music is blasting through the speakers, and there are multicolored lights going off. Kids are grinding on each other while others sit and talk at the bar. We make our way to the backyard but stop when we spot my brother and Dylan. They're talking to 2 of the girls from the pack, Amber and Ashley. I nudge Leonard and tell him to go the opposite direction. We finally make it out to the backyard into a small corner without being caught. If Lucas knew I was here, he'd sober up real quick and watch my every move. He deserves not to be my babysitter for a night, so staying hidden is for the best. If you see or sense them, let me know. I don't want them seeing us. Leonard nods in agreement and runs to the bar, grabbing whatever they have available. And I grimace at the cup, hating the taste but loving the feeling that comes with it. Being drunk or at least a little tipsy lets me escape from all the thoughts in my head. Werewolves don't get drunk or high easy, so it takes a few cups before I'm even tipsy. I stay in my corner for most of the night, Leonard having disappeared to talk to some guys in the opposite corner of me. Taking a drink, I look around the backyard. They really did invite the whole pack, even the adults and elders. I spot Dylan's younger brothers in the corner. Dylan is turning 18 tonight, but his brother Elliot is 2 years younger, closer to my age at 16, as if catching me staring. Elliot turns to me and grins. I grin back at him and motion him to come over to me. Elliot and I have always been close, and even though we haven't talked in forever, I still like his company. He was always right there with Lucas, helping me to get over this week's loser I fell in love with. Maybe I a hopeless romantic. Hey, Rosie Posey, he says as he comes to stand by me. I glare at him for using the nickname he gave me. You totally stole it from my dad. But at least my dad stopped calling me that when I was 12. A WWW, come on. You love that name. I just shake my head at him. He smirks back at me, grabs me by the waist, and pulls me closer to him. I squeal at the sudden movement and look up to see that his smirk had widened. I pull back from him, hitting him on the chest. He has always been a touchy-feely person. He always used to say when we were kids that we'd grow up to be mates. I knew we would never. I feel nothing towards him besides brotherly love. Well, aren't you just the cutest? Leonard says in a high-pitched voice. I roll my eyes and look at my best friend as he stumbles over to us. He is way too drunk for his own good. He almost falls into Elliot's arms but catches himself. I grab a hold of him, keeping him steady. I'm surprised to see you here. Lily, you never come to these things, Elliot says, that stupid grin still on his face. I glare at Leonard when he busts out laughing. Well, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't from this thing over there. Pointing to Leonard, who smiles. I set him down in a chair and turn back to stand next to Elliot. So Rosie Posey, you want to dance? Elliot asks, bowing and extending his hand. I roll my eyes and shake my head no. I'm not a big dancer. It's a party. Lily, just dance with me. At least right here. He doesn't wait for my answer. He grabs me close to him again, and we move to the slow song. I laugh as he spins me in circles, bringing me back to his body as we sway in unison. The song ends, and I smile up at him and kiss his cheek. He smiles down at me, not 1 ounce of lust in his eyes. Just love, the kind I see in my family's eyes when they look at me. You know I love you, Lily. I know. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I love you too. And I also know that Lucas sent you over here to babysit me. How did you know that? Well, I wasn't sure, but you just confirmed it. Plus you smelled just like him when you came over here. He glares at me but then breaks out into a grin. Should have known you'd figure it out. But, hey, I wanted to talk and the dance was me. Elliot, get away from her. We freeze and stare at a very pissed, off-looking Dylan. Lucas comes to his side, a confused look on his face. Why, Elliot says. I look at the brothers. Both their faces are in a glare. Elliot eventually lowers his eyes as Dylan and bears into him, and his alpha demeanor radiates off of him. Maybe we should have this conversation in the house. Dylan, people are staring. Lucas says in a low voice as he looks around. Sure enough, several people are staring at us. We all head into the pack house. Stopping in the living room, Leonard stumbles in last, falling into Lucas's arm as he tries to close the door. Oh, if he only knows where he is. IGDB in heaven. Can someone please explain what's going on? Elliot asks as he and his brother gets into another glaring match. You need to stay away from her. Dylan grits out his teeth. She's my friend. I can hang out. Elliot doesn't get to finish as he's pinned against the wall with Dylan's hands around his throat. Lucas forces Dylan off of Elliot, the latter's body dropping to the floor immediately. I rush over to him, but I am stopped by a voice. Don't you dare touch him. Mate. My eyes snap to Dylan's, but those aren't Dylan's eyes. His wolf is in control. Mate. Yes, my love. You're my mate. His voice is deeper, and it doesn't take him long to reach me. He strokes my cheek with his hand, and I feel sparks all over my skin. The room is silent. Everyone is pretty surprised, me included. This can't be happening. I take a step back from him, gaining a growl from him. I can tell He is fighting for control of his wolf again. And soon, his eyes return to their normal color. Lily, let's give them some time. Elliot, Lucas says as he picks up a half-conscious Leonard. Elliot nods, gets up, and heads out the door. Lucas pauses before he leaves, turning to look Dylan directly in the eyes. I'm happy for you, guys. But if you hurt her, Dylan, Alpha or not, she's my sister, and I will protect her. He leaves without getting a response. I turn to Dylan, a look of lust and confusion in his eyes. He grabs my hand, and we head upstairs. I try to tug my hand free, but he doesn't. He let me. We reach his room and he drags me in. I finally pull my hand free and put some space between us. Dylan, what are we doing up here? We need to talk. What's there to talk about? We're mates. People need to know that. I don't have time to respond before I'm pushed against the door. And he crashes his lips on mine, unlike all the other boys, who I would have pushed away. I do nothing, and it's like all my limbs have gone numb. My body melts into his, and I enjoy the feeling of his lips on mine. It's not like all the other kisses I had. This is better, much better. He traps my hands above my head with one of his arms while the other explores my body. He reaches behind my back and unzips my dress, letting it fall to the ground. I feel like I should stop him, but I don't. I enjoy it and my wolf does too. Hesitant to get out, and with the way Dylan's lips feel on my neck, I fall into a state of bliss. My wolf takes it to her advantage and takes control. My hands roam his body, and next thing I know, we're both without clothes, and my precious virginity is about to be gone. Dylan enters me with one quick thrust and I cry out in pain. Ah, so my little mate is a virgin, even better. Dylan chuckles as he thrusts into me roughly. My virginity is soon taken away multiple times that night, on the wall, the couch, the kitchen counter, and the bed. Oh, how I wish I stayed home. Waking up the next morning, I feel a sting come from my shoulder. Putting a hand to it, I feel tingles rush through me, and I look down to see a bite mark. Dylan Matthews marked me last night, or so I thought. Looking closer, I see it's just an ordinary bite mark, not deep enough to be a mating mark. Speaking of my mate, I get up to go look for him. I feel a strong burn in my lower region. and the thoughts of last night flows back to me. Not once did my wolf let me take back control. Her and Nikolai, Dylan S. Wolf's name, were having way too much fun. Dylan's smell is faint in the room, so I know HE has been gone for a while. I look around the house. I can't seem to find him anywhere, so I check the last place in the house where I could possibly find him. His office door is closed shut, so I position myself to knock, but I am stopped as the door flings open. Dylan stands there with a glare on his face. "You need to leave," he says coldly, and then brushes past me like I was nothing. The similar feeling creeps in, this time with a lot more regret. What do you mean, Dylan? You said we were mates last night. You took my virginity. Yours is not the first virginity I took. Now get out of my house before I force you. He doesn't even spare me a glance, disappearing into his room, the door slamming behind him. I stand there for a minute, shocked and hurt. I squeeze my eyes shut, hoping to open them for all of this to be a dream. But I open them and it isn't. I don't know how, but I force myself to leave the room. My heart feels heavy, and it physically hurts to move. My wolf begs me to go back and beg for him to take us back. But I won't be humiliated. Not by him. I stare at the thing with an emotional look on my face, hiding all the emotions that stir within me. 3 minutes, that's all I have to wait. I look at the clock. Time seems to go by slowly. The clock hits 647, the time I've been waiting for, but it seems like I can't pry my eyes away from looking at the stupid stick. 2 lines. That's all it took for my heart, with its little pieces I've tried to put back together, to break. It has been a month since that night. Dylan left with his family and the rest of mine the very next day to do pack business. My parents question me as they see the sadness on my face that they know all too well. I blow them off by telling them it's just my period. Lucas knows though. He knew the second he saw me. It took everything in me to convince him not to kill Dylan. I would too. That is the only thing that's stopping him. I'm sure they have made up by now though. I hope they did. My brother doesn't deserve to lose his best friend because of me. By the sound of your heartbeat, I'm guessing it's positive. Leonard's voice comes from the outside of the bathroom. At his question, I break down. I can't be a mom. I can't even be a good mate. How am I supposed to be a good mom? I don't even realize that I had spoken out loud until my best friend speaks to me. Lily, you are a perfect mate, and any other man would have been happy to have you as theirs. You'll be a great mom. I know that for sure. I break down all over again, the emotions becoming too difficult for me to control. I'm going to be a mom. When are you going to tell everyone? Leonard asks when I finally stopped crying. I'm not. The words come out firm. I will not allow my child to be humiliated or rejected. You're gonna leave? Leonard asks, a look of sadness on his face. You know, I have too. I can't go through this pregnancy being sad all the time. And being here makes me so sad. Leonard, my baby doesn't deserve that. He nods and takes me into his arms. We stay there for a while. I can't seem to let go as I hug him for what would be the last in a while. He tells me he has a few cousins and other packs and might get them to take me in. I nod, thankful I have him as my friend. Later that night, he lets me know his cousin, to my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Would allow me to be in his and his mates back. I'm happy I can get away from the constant pain. Leonard's voice brings me out of my thoughts as he sticks some papers out to me. Okay, so this is a bus ticket to take you to my cousin Kale Ms. town. He said he will meet you at the bus stop and let you stay at that house. You will leave tomorrow morning and should get there before dark. I nod and take the bus ticket from him. I take a long look at my best friend and see him smiling a sad smile. I will miss you so much. Leonard, you don't even know. I will miss you too. Lily, but I have all night with you, so we're going to get a bunch of junk food and watch Law and Porter until we fall asleep, okay? I nod and grab him for a long hug, wiping my tears. I tell him to go downstairs and grab the snacks while I pack a few things. I don't pack much, just enough to not have to do laundry for a while. I write my parents and brother a letter letting them know I'm okay, and I just need time away from this place. I know my parents will flip, especially with me being so young. I give them the information of where I'm going and ask them to keep it secret. I left out the pregnancy part though. Leonard comes back into the room, arms filled with snacks. We lay down and start the show we've watched for years. I think it's a boy. Leonard says out of the blue. Maybe I trail off, thinking if it is a boy, he'd be taking the pack as future alpha away. Oh, I know it is. I've never been wrong in my guesses. I laugh at him but drop the subject. We do just as he had said. Both of us are passed out until my alarm goes off. I get up and gather my stuff, waking Leonard up to say goodbye. I hug him goodbye and head to my parents' room. I leave the letters and quietly make my way to the door. I say one last goodbye to my home. I head for the one-way bus to my new home with the only important thing I take with me. The Alphason known baby well. At least, that's what Leonard said. Chapter 1 Lily. The bed moves up and down, and I can hear a little voice from a distance. Mommy, Mommy, wake up. It's morning time. Opening my eyes, I see my son. Jumping on my bed. I pull the covers over my head and turn to the side. 5 more minutes. Any. He stops jumping and starts to poke my face. I groaned, knowing he will not stop until I get up. I pick him up and toss him to the other side of the bed. His little giggles fill my ears and I grin at him. Okay, I'm up. I say as I grab Ethan and we make our way to the kitchen. I put him in one of the high chairs and head towards the fridge. Mommy, can I have chocolate chips in my pancakes? Sure, baby, but it's pancakes. That's what I said, Mommy. Pancakes. I shake my head but don't correct him again, knowing it will fall on deaf ears. I start the pancakes, adding the chocolate chips to his. Sweets have never really been my thing. The only time I ate a lot of them was when I was pregnant. Thankfully, that only lasted 3 months. Mommy, my birthday is in 4 days. Are you excited? I smile softly at him and nod my head. I can't believe how fast time has gone since I had him. Yes, baby. I'm very excited for your birthday. What do you want to do? Can we go to Chuck, eat cheese? I won't get paid until next week. Baby, so I won't have the money. But we can go to the park and eat ice cream if you like. That sounds fun too. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nobel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I place his plate in front of him and kiss the top of his head. I feel bad but I can't his wish. But money is tight right now. My job cut my hours, and all my money has gone to rent and utilities. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nobel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Eat up, little man. We have to leave for school in an hour. He nods, his eyes neving the TV. I swear that boy likes handy money more than me. I immediately go to my closet to get ready. I pull out a pair of dark blue skinny jeans and my uniform shirt. I quickly get dressed and do my morning routine. I then go to Ethan's room to grab his clothes. Come on, we have to leave in like 45 minutes. I shout down, and moments later, I hear his tiny footsteps come down the hall. He appears with ketchup covering his face and clothes. Why do you have ketchup all over you? I say with a sigh. He does this every morning. He grins at me before shrugging his shoulders. I shake my head and grab a washcloth. I help him into his little cargo shorts and his shirt. Grabbing his socks, I put them on and put his light-up shoes over them. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nobel, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. My little man, go brush your teeth and brush your hair. He takes off to the bathroom and I get his stuff for school. Since he is in pre-K, he doesn't have much supplies besides a few pencils, crayons, and a folder. I pull out all his papers from his bag, skimming through it to check how he did yesterday. I see a paper folded up with water stains on it. I unfold it to see an announcement dated a week ago. I have never seen it before, so Ethan must have kept it at school until yesterday. The announcement said that today was Bring Your Dad to School Day. My heart breaks at the tear marks lining the paper. I stash the paper in my pocket and zip everything up in his backpack. I then move from my spot to grab his jacket. He comes out of the room, his hair in a small mohawk. I smile warmly at my little boy, his face reminding me every day of my mate. We put our jackets on and grab everything we need before walking outside. I haven't been able to afford a car yet, so we have to walk everywhere. Luckily, my work and Ethan S. school is close by. We head towards his school, and I decide now is a good time to ask him about the paper I found. Why didn't you tell me it's Bring Your Dad to School Day today? He doesn't respond, just shrugs his shoulders. I see a flash of hurt in his eyes and it makes me feel so guilty. I drop the topic and start talking more about his birthday. We arrive at the school about 5 minutes later and walk into his classroom. Kids are running around. Others are eating while some are drawing. There's a bunch of dads standing in the back talking to each other. I wave to the teacher who is talking to another mom. I tell Ethan goodbye when a mom approaches us. Lily, it's so good to see you. How are you? One of the moms. Collie. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Milburn. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I'm good. Thanks for asking. How about yourself? She goes on about all her life events since the last time we saw each other. I try to hold back a yawn from her stories, but it's becoming almost impossible. Well, I gotta go. Don't want to be late for my yoga class. Catch you later. Collie finally says before she turns and leaves. I wave a goodbye to her and turn to my son who looks just as bored as me. I see him staring at all the dads in the room with sadness. I hate this and instantly regret my decision to leave 5 years ago. Okay. E.T. Chenny. I have to go to work. Be good. And I'll pick you up when school finishes. Okay. Mommy, he says in his soft voice, then turns to walk towards the other kids. I grab his hand before he gets too far and pull him into a hug. I love you with all my heart, and I will do anything for you. If you want to meet him, I've always told you. You can. I know he was mean to your mommy, and I don't want to meet him. I have you. I just nodded the same response I get every time I ask him. He overheard me talking to Miles one day about Dylan and has known about his father ever since. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Milburn. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I've been giving him every chance to meet Dylan, but he has always declined. When he heard Miles and talk about how Dylan didn't want me as his mate, Ethan's response has always been the same every time I ask. I'm okay. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Milburn. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I hope so, baby. And just remember, Ethan, you always have to forgive everyone. Okay. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Milburn. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. You better get to work. Have a good day. I love you. Love you too. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Milburn. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. He waves at me and joins the other kids in a game of tag. I nod at teacher before I make my way outside and to my work. I work at the local diner in town. It's a nice little place and has an ATS theme to it. Most of the members from the local pack eat there, so I'm around werewolves a lot. It's not so bad until one of the unmated wolves tries to hit on you. But it pays decent despite the cut in my hours, so I suck it up. Clocking in, I say hi to the cooks before taking my stand in front. It's only Monday, and the breakfast rush is over, so the place is dead. I play on my phone for about 20 minutes before I hear the doorbell go off. Looking up, I see Alpha Calum and his husband, Miles, walk in. Hi, Alphys. Is it just you two today? Yeah, it's just us. And please call us Miles and Calum. We're friends. Remember. I smile softly and nod my head. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Milburn. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Follow me. I led them to a small booth, hand them their news, and tell them their waiter will be with them shortly. When I was pregnant with Ethan, I came to Calum Mespak. Miles is Leonard's cousin. The latter had asked the couple if I could come here after telling them what happened with Dylan. I stayed with them throughout my whole pregnancy and they took me in as one of their own pack members. I wasn't part of their pack though. I wasn't fully detached from my last one and the pain from doing it would have killed Ethan. They said after I delivered, I could join, but I never did. Once I got a job in the house, I left their pack house. I still keep in contact though, and try to visit them once a week. Ethan calls them his uncles and they spoil him rotten. They've tried to help me financially, but I declined. I want to be independent and care for my child with no help. Sitting back down, I turn back to my phone and see I have 2 missed calls. I'm about to see who's there from when my boss, Jeffrey, calls my name. Lily, you have a call on the break room phone. I nod my head and make my way to the break room. I press line 2 and pick up the phone. Hello, Lily. Honey, is that you? My mom's voice rings through the phone. Yeah. Are you okay? Why do you sound like that? I hear her sniffle into the phone, but she remains quiet. Finally, she speaks again. Gunny, it's your grandpa. Okay. What's the matter with him? She keeps quiet again, and I grow worried. Gramps and I were always the closest. Baby, there was an attack on the pack and your Gramps got hurt. They said his injuries are severe, and we don't know how long he has. My heart starts to hammer in my chest, and I have to sit down to steady myself. How severe? I ask, almost breathless. It doesn't look promising. Honey, I think it's time you come back. At least for Gramps. A single tear rolls down my face before I can stop it. Okay. Let me see if I can rent a car and drive down there. You won't make it for another 2 days. I can wire some money in your account so you can book you and Ethan a plane ticket. I think about it for a minute before agreeing. I wouldn't do it on any other time. But if it's the last time I see my grandpa, then I'll suck up my pride and take the money. Okay, honey. I'll book the tickets for late tonight and I'll see you tomorrow evening. Give Ethan a kiss for me. I love you. She says a quick goodbye to me and hangs up. I let the tears follow my cheeks and quiet sobs escape me. My mind drifts off to Dylan. Did he get hurt? Is he dead? I know he is not dead because I would have felt it. I get angry at myself for even thinking about him. I look up when I hear the door open and see Calum and Miles walk in. Oh, honey. What's the matter? We heard your sobs from outside. I try to open my mouth to tell them, but nothing comes out. Calum lifts me up and places me on his lap and engulfs me in his arms. Miles' tiny arms follow and am surrounded by body heat. After a while, I finally calm down and pull back to see the 2 alphas with worried expressions. My mom called. My grandpa got hurt when the pack was under attack. They don't know if he will make it. Ethan and I are flying out tonight. They look at me with shocked faces. You know you'll see Dylan and he'll know about Ethan. Right. I nod and take a deep breath before reply. I know, but I always knew that something like this would happen and I'd have to go back. And it's not like I never gave Ethan to see his dad, he just never wanted to. Yeah, you're right. But as an alpha myself, if my mate didn't tell me about my pup, I'd be pissed. Calum comments. I know his words are true, and I know it will piss Dylan off. But I have to go back. My Gramps means everything to me. I know. And I'd be upset too. But it is what it is. I should get back to work, guys. Especially since they'll be gone for a week. If I don't see you guys before tonight, I'll see you in a week. I say as I get up to hug them before walking back outside to the front podium. A little while later, I receive the email with both our plane tickets and notice that my mom had sent a little extra in my account. I sigh knowing I'll have to tell her to take it back. I don't like charity. The rest of the day goes by fast, my mind wandering in a million different directions all day. My boss is nice enough to give me the week off, and I am very grateful. I wave him goodbye and start heading to Ethan's school. The walk is only 5 minutes, but it feels like eternity. I am anxious and nervous. I don't know how I'm going to handle telling Ethan the news. I arrive at the school desk doors and take a deep breath. Here goes nothing. Chapter to Lily. Walking into the school, I make my way to Ethan's classroom. I know that with my emotions everywhere. I am walking a little slower, making me late again in picking up Ethan. I knock on the classroom door and come face to face with a very annoyed Miss Reynolds. Miss, you're late again. I know, Miss Reynolds. I'm so sorry. It won't happen again, I say in a pleading voice. You say that every time, Lily A. line. And you have been late 3 times already. If it happens again, I must start charging you for aftercare. I nod my head and step into the classroom. Ethan is sitting down on one of the chairs in the room, eating an apple. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm, he says as he runs up to me. I bend down to catch him in my arms. I pick him up and spin him around. His laugh fills my ears and melts my heart. His day must have gotten a lot better when school started. Come on, baby, we have a lot to do. I grab his hand and pick up his backpack. We say a quick goodbye to his teacher before walking out. So, ETA Jenny, I have a surprise for you, I say as we walk to our apartment. What is it? To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Looking up at me with big green eyes. Do you remember Grandpa Rich and Grandma Marie? He nods, so I continue. Well, your Grandpa Richest Addie isn't feeling so well, so we're going to go see him, I say and see his face light up. We continue our way to our apartment as we talk about the trip. We will leave at midnight tonight, so by the time we get home, I make Ethan a snack and go to his room to pack his clothes. When I have all the clothes he'll need for the trip, I go to my room. Suddenly, there's a knock on the door. As I make my way to the door, I pass Ethan, who makes a run for the bathroom. Looking through the peephole, I see my landlord, Jim. I open the door slowly and peep my head out. Hi, Jim. Is there something wrong? He smirks at me and tries to take a step forward, but I block him. Hey, Rosie. I need your rent money. But I just paid rent last week. He just shrugs before handing me an envelope. You are behind in payments. It's due by Sunday or you will have to leave. I look at him wide-eyed and lips slightly parted. He smiles at me and walks away. Opening the envelope, I see that I was behind 3 payments. So last week's money just barely brought me out of my debt to the man. He knows I don't get paid until next Friday, and I've reminded him multiple times in case he forgot. He'll have to convince him to give me another extension. I set the envelope aside and go to my room to pack. Ethan is on my bed, passed out. I cover him up and kiss his forehead before grabbing my suitcase. I hurried and packed so I could get some sleep before we leave for the airport. Tomorrow is going to be a long day. Mommy, are we going to be there soon? Ethan asks for the 100th time. We boarded the plane about 2 hours ago and have about another hour or 2 to go. No, Ethan. Take a nap or something. He groans and rests his head back on the seat. I sigh and run my hand through his brown locks. Before we left, I had told Ethan that Dylan would be there. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. He said he didn't want to meet him, as always, but I reminded him he is his father and Ethan needed to build his own relationship with him and not base it off of mine. Ethan agreed to meet him but said he wouldn't be nice unless he was nice to me. But I knew my son as he meets his daddy. In love, they act just alike, and it reminds me a lot of when me and Dylan were younger. A little while later, when the plane taxied on the runway, my eyes closed as soon as my head hit the pillow. After another hour, the plane came to a stop in Dallas. I grab our bags from above and grab Ethan's hand before exiting the plane. Looking around the airport, I immediately spot him, standing in all of his glory as my alpha, or ex-alpha, Dylan Matthews. HES wearing dark blue jeans and a bright red shirt. Standing next to him is my brother Lucas. Dylan's eyes meet mine as emotions I've stored away for the past 5 years comes back to me in seconds. Aurora, my wolf, is clawing to get out and be with her mate, making me stop in my tracks and close my eyes. I plead with her to stop and she thankfully agrees. Gripping Eth and Ness' hand tighter, I make my way to them. Dylan's eyes follow me the whole time, but it slowly focuses on Ethan when we get closer. Dylan's and my brother's eyes go wide. I'm guessing you're my ride. I ask my brother, avoiding all eye contact with Dylan. They continue to stare at Ethan, and I can feel his hand squirm under my grip. Lucas, you didn't become deaf when I left, did you? I'm sorry. The car is this way, Lucas says and points to the front exit. I nod my head of the two. We walk to the parking lot in complete silence and soon come to a black Jeep. He doesn't need a booster seat, does he? Lucas asks as he puts airbags in the trunk. Do you have one? Not really. Ma didn't tell me you'd be bringing anybody else. The ride shouldn't to be that long. He'll be fine, I assure him. Lucas nods and opens the door for us. Dylan stands by his side, quiet. I can feel his eyes on me, but I choose not to return his gaze, knowing my emotions aren't ready. I help buckle Ethan in and slide into the seat next to his. Lucas and Dylan take the front seats, and we were soon off to the hospital. Things are quiet in the car. I'm sure neither one of them knows what to say. Thankfully, Ethan breaks the silence. Mommy, look, there's a toy store. Yeah, baby. Maybe we can go there. He nods his head excitedly, looking at all the stores. Dylan turns his body in the passenger's side to face Ethan and me. What's your name, big man? He asks Ethan, a soft smile on his face. What's yours? My name's Dylan. Oh, that's my daddy's name too. Do you know him? I mentally face palm at my son's reaction. I could feel the stare of Dylan again, but I keep my eyes to the view on the window. I don't think I have prepared myself enough for this moment. I'm not too sure. Little man. The man driving us is your Uncle Lucas, my brother. Trying to avoid the subject at all costs, Lucas winks at him in the mirror, making Ethan smile. Hi, Uncle Lucas. I'm Ethan. I don't have any brothers or sisters. Mommy said she isn't giving me any for a long time, which I think is so unfair because... Okay. I think it's a good time to be quiet now. I hurry and say before this little boy exposes all my dirty secrets. Do you have kids, Uncle Lucas? Lucas laughs and shakes his head. I'm honestly surprised. By now, he already got his mate pregnant. What about you? Do you have any kids? Ethan asks, directing his question to Dylan. Dylan shakes his head, a sad smile on his face. Why don't you think of questions for when you see Grandma and Grandpa? Hoping he will stop this torture he doesn't realize HES putting me through. He nods and puts his headphones in my laptop to watch his show. You weren't going to tell me, Dylan says. Now he's the one avoiding eye contact. Without his eyes on me, I finally get a good look at him. HES still the gorgeous man from all those years ago. But somehow, some things have changed. His eyes don't hold the life and fun they used to, and one can tell just how tired he really is by his eye bags. I didn't think you'd care, I say ruefully, holding his stare when his eyes snap to mine. Why wouldn't I? Lily, that's my child. You didn't want me. Dylan, why would I ever think you wanted my child? I did want you. Well, you sure know a funny way to show someone that. He tries to say something but I cut him off, already tired from this conversation. Dylan, you told me to leave that night. You told me you didn't want me. And then you left for a month and I had nothing from you. I had to leave. I wasn't going to live a sad life for me or for Ethan. It's been so hard. I didn't know when I'd be ready to come back. I gave him the chance to see you and he chose not to. So can we please just drop this? I'm sorry. Lily Ein. How did you know he was yours? Curiosity getting the best of me, He looks just like me. I just assumed and you confirmed it. I just nod and let the group fall back into an awkward silence. The rest of the drive was quiet with Ethan sleeping on my shoulder. We arrive at the pack house about an hour later. Dylan gets out first and removes the bags out of the car. Lucas follows and unlocks the door. I unbuckle my seatbelt and turn to wake up Ethan. Baby? Come on. We're here. He shifts in his sleep and slowly opens his bright green eyes. He smiles at me, showing his missing front teeth. And then he unbuckles his seatbelt. I grab the door handle and open it. I step out and I turn and motion for Ethan to do the same. And he does. I set him on the ground and turn towards the house. I collide with a chest instead. Sparks erupt all over my body, and I know instantly that I ran into Dylan. He catches me by the waist, keeping me from falling. I mumble a thank you when he steps back, a small smile on his face. He doesn't linger long though and heads for the house. Before I can take another step to follow him, I hear a loud scream come from the front door. Leonard is standing there, looking as flamboyant as ever. And before I know it, Archie is running towards me. He grabs me and picks me up, making me squeal and wrap my legs around his waist. I hear 2 growls and look to see my brother and Dylan glaring at us. I send Lucas a confused look. I understand why Dylan growled, but Lucas. Lily. Oh my goddess. I've missed you so much. He says after he finally puts me down. I've missed you too. Yeah, I say, and he hugs me once more before switching his eyes to Ethan. Holy moly. Who is the handsome boy? Bending down to be at eye level with Ethan, Leonard pinches lightly at his Ethan-ness tummy. Ethan giggles before smiling back at him. Ethan. Ethan says, waving at Leonard. Leonard chuckles and waves back before extending his arms to pick up Ethan. Ethan throws himself at Leonard and they both laugh, while spitting image of his father. Isn't he? Lily. Leonard whispers so Ethan wouldn't hear. Yeah. All that hard work of labor for nothing. Smiling up at the little boy in Leonard's arms, we walk into the pack house, the familiar smell invading my nose reminding me of just how much I missed my life here. Is that my baby girl? I hear my dad's voice from somewhere. Dad. I say as I see him turn from the corner. I don't have time to take in his frame before I'm squeezed into a tight hug. Oh, my baby. My mom walks up and hugs me once my dad lets me go. I hug my mom tightly, her smaller frame matching my own. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Dylan's third in command walks in and addresses Dylan. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. The guest bedrooms are set up. Dylan nods and dismisses Jason before focusing his eyes on me. I don't hold his eyes long. I look at my parents instead. They look good, considering they are 5 years older since the last time I saw them. Ethan runs up to me and stares up at Dylan in awe. You're Ian Alpha too. My mommy has friends that are alphas. We visit them all the time. They're so nice to mommy and me. How are Kaylin and Miles? I haven't seen them since they had their mating ceremony. Leonard says, making everyone else fall silent. You knew where she was the whole time. Dylan's growls, a deadly glare on his face. He takes a step towards a very pale Leonard. Lucas steps in front of Leonard in a protective stance. Get out of my way. Beta. I can tell by his voice that Dylan is losing control of his wolf. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Please don't do this. He was just protecting her, Nikolai. Protecting her from who? She's my mate. You didn't want her. Lucas grits out. Both men's bodies shake in anger. Yeah. Maybe it's a good time to say something. Lily. Leonard says as he grips my brother's shirt tightly. Okay. Let's all calm down. We're blowing this all out of proportion. A little panicked at seeing my brother and my mate almost to the point of shifting. My little pep talk was so not working, and I didn't know what else to do. I looked at Ethan to see that my parents had taken him out of the room, which I was thankful for. I knew the next thing I'm going to do is stupid and would hurt me so badly, but I had no other idea. I slowly approached Dylan, a scent invading my nose, throwing my emotions everywhere. I grab his hand slowly and watch as his breathing calms down. He turns to me, and I use this chance to tell Lucas and Leonard to leave. I thought he'd never get to touch you again, he says as he looks at me with so much regret. My mind goes haywire and my wolf is in glee in my head. I know I have to stop this before it takes me back to the place I came out of. I snatch my hand away and turn away from him. I was just trying to stop you from doing something you would regret. Nothing else. Nothing more. I walk away, wanting to get as much space between the two of us as possible. I found my parents, Lucas and Leonard, in the living room. Ethan is telling them all about his show and performance. I sit beside a very shaken up Leonard. Lucas is rubbing circles on his back and whispering to him. I look at them weirdly. The affection my brother is showing Leonard catching me off guard once again. Am I missing something? Did you all become best friends or something when I left? Did you trade me for my brother? Leonard laughs, and I see the fun return to his eyes. You know you, Ray, not replaceable. Lily, but we're mates. Lucas says, a proud smile on his face. I look at both of them, surprised. I sit there with my mouth just wide open. I have never thought in my wildest dreams that they would be mates. I see their faces fall, and Leonard skits closer to Lucas. I follow their eyes to see Dylan standing in the corner. All eyes are on him. Everyone bows their head in respect besides Ethan and I. Alpha Im Leonard starts, but Dylan's hand goes up. Batel Leonard, you purposefully lied to me. You're Alpha, about the whereabouts of Lily. You should face the rightful consequences. Dylan, that's I say. But he cuts me off. But I will ignore it this one time. But if you ever disrespect me like that again, I don't care who your mate is. I will make sure you get what you deserve. Leonard nods, a shameful look on his face. I know Dylan's words must have seemed harsh, but I also know he was letting Leonard get off easy. Mommy, why is Leonard in trouble? Ethan asks, drawing our attention to him. You isn't baby HES, just let's talk about something else. I say with a defeated sigh, not knowing how to answer that question. Lucas can show you the guest rooms when you two are ready. If any of you need me, I'll be in my office, Dylan says and then turns to exit the room. But before he can walk away, little hands stop him. He looks down at Ethan. I decide not to say anything and just watch the two. Why can't you stay? Do you have to do alpha stuff? Yeah, big man. I have to do alpha stuff, Dylan says, a look of hurt on his face. You look like me, Ethan says, making Dylan's eyes widen. He looks at me silently, asking for some kind of permission. I just shrug my shoulders, letting him decide for himself. Yeah, buddy, about that a long time ago. Before you were born, I did a terrible thing, and even though I regret it every day, I caught back in time. I hurt your mummy real bad, buddy, and so she left. I didn't know she was carrying you in her tummy when she left though, but I can see every owner's surprise as their alpha talks with so much emotion in his voice. So you're my daddy? I am, buddy. Ethan says nothing for a minute and looks back at me. I can see in his eyes that he is going back and forth between forgiving him or not. Remember what I told you, big man. You got to forgive everybody no matter what. I remind him. He nods at me and turns back to Dylan. He says nothing and just strolls into Dylan's arms. The two hug, and I can see tears in Dylan's eyes before he closes them tightly. The scene makes me sad, seeing how much I took away not only from my wolf but from Ethan. The two separate and Dylan smiles widely at his son. Can you stay and hang out with us? Ethan asks. Sure, buddy, as long as it's okay with your mum. Everyone turns to me, and I want to roll my eyes at all of them. I don't mind, but not for long because he has to be in bed by 8. For the next half hour, Ethan meets everyone in the pack house, with everybody cooing and day-weeing at him. My mom and dad have already promised him a shopping spree, and my brother and Leonard promised to take him for ice cream later. I sit there smiling at the little boy telling everyone about the time Miles took him to the amusement park, but was too scared to go on the big rides. My phone goes off in my hand, and I leave the room to answer it. Hello. Hey, how did you guys land? Caleb asks on the other line. Good. We just arrived at the pack house. That's good. Did you see him yet? Referring to Dylan. Yes, Caleb. He picked me up with Lucas. Dang. That's unfortunate. He chuckles. I roll my eyes and tell him I'll call him later with an I love you to him and Miles. As I walk back to the living room, I find Ethan asleep on Dylan's chest and everybody silent. Did you like my conversation? I ask as I sit down on the seat. They remain silent. Okay. Fine. We were listening. But we're werewolves, so we can't help it. So who are you talking to? Leonard finally says. My secret lover. I laugh back. Dylan growls and glares at my phone that's sitting on the armrest. I walk over to Dylan and grab Ethan from Dylan. Once I adjust Ethan in my arms, I look to Dylan to show me my room. He gets up from his chair and walks toward the stairs. Everybody kisses Eth and Ness for head before I follow Dylan. We make it to the second floor, and he shows me to the room, far from the stairs. He opens up the door and gestures me in. The room is light blue in color with white and black decor. Setting Ethan on the bed, I pull up his covers and kiss his forehead. Dylan asks if he can kiss him, and I have to resist the urge to roll my eyes. I say yes, and Dylan moves to kiss Eth and Ness for head. We walk out of the room and head downstairs. Can we talk? Dylan asks as we reach the first floor. I nod and tell him to lead the way. We make our way to his office. It is the same from when I came here when I was a kid. When his father was Alpha, he sits down in his office chair as I sit in one of the chairs in front of his desk. We stay in silence while he stares at me. I grow irritated at him, and so I start the conversation. Are we going to stay in this awkward silence or are you going to talk? 'Cause I would rather not be here. Are you planning on staying permanently? He asks, not looking me in the eye. No, I say dryly, staring at him with a straight face. You're going to take him away from me again. A look of hurt on his face. My wolf whines in my head as she hates seeing her mate sad. I have thought little about it. Dylan, ensure we can figure some split custody or something. Lily, we're wolves, not humans. Why can't you just stay? I don't want to. I'm not asking you to jump into bed with me. Lily, I'm asking you to not take my son away. Sounding very irritated, I said we can figure it out when the time comes. Now, if you will excuse me, I'm going to bed. Wanting to get as far away from him as I possibly can. The barrier I have put around our mate bond is starting to crumble the more I'm around him. Fine, but this conversation is not over. Lily, good night. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Chapter 3. Lily. The sun shines through the curtains, waking me up from my deep slumber. I turn to my left and see that Ethan is missing. His scent is barely there, so he has been gone a while. My motherly instincts come in, I go on high alert. I jump out of the bed and check the bathroom to see if H.E. is in there. Rushing to the door, I run down the hallway and to the stairway. At this point, I don't even care that I'm only in my sports bra and pajama shorts. I make it downstairs and check the living room. Empty. I hear laughter come from the kitchen and make my way there. Ethan is sitting on the counter with Dylan standing beside him. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. His third in command, my brother Lucas, and Michael, a pack warrior, are with him as well. All eyes turn to me when I walk in. Dylan's eyes turn into a deep green color. I instantly remember my outfit and slap myself mentally for not putting a shirt on. What are you doing down here? I ask as I grab him off the counter. ignoring the lustful stares Dylan is sending me. Mummy, Daddy came in unchecked on us, but I was already up, so he took me downstairs. I met some of his friends, smiling up at me. I smile at him and tell him to go change out of his pajamas. He gives everybody a wave before disappearing upstairs. Next time, wake me up before you take him. Looking towards Dylan, I was just trying to do a nice thing and let you sleep. Clearly irritated. Thanks for the nice gesture. But next time, wake me up. I turn around, ready to head back to my room when I bump into someone. Dang. Lily, you look good even after having my nephew. I look up and come face to face with the smirking idiot. He picks me up and spins me around before setting me back on my feet. I could feel Dylan sending Elliot a death glare, but the latter ignores his older brother. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Do you eat your light as a feather? Yes, I eat Elliot. Do you ever stop? Your looking a little pudgy. He looks at me with a shocked face as the others behind me snicker. Your mean, Elliot says. Pouting. I just smile at his childish behavior. Sis, Mom said that if you want to see Gramps today, you can, Luca says. He sends me a sad smile and I just nod at him. Ethan comes down the stairs, struggling to button his shirt. Mommy, can you please button this for me? My fingers won't do it. I nod and help him finish buttoning his shirt up. Stay with your daddy while I go get dressed. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Okay. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Maybe I'll show you Nikolai. Who's Nikolai? I laugh at his mispronunciation of the name. His wolf. I laugh. Dylan picks Ethan up and smiles at me. I turn around and head up the stairs. I quickly change into jean shorts and a plain black tee and go to the bathroom to fix my hair. After my blonde hair is thoroughly combed, I put some mascara on before grabbing my phone and going downstairs. At the back of the house, Ethan is petting Nikolai as he lays down on the ground with his head on his paws. Aurora whimpers in my head, pushing me to go to her mate, but I try my best to push her to the back of my mind. And eventually, as I walk up to them, Nicola's head raises up and looks up at me with sparkling green eyes. I feel the urge to run my hand through his fur, but I fight it knowing it's just the mating bond, but he's making me feel such emotions. I sit on one of the lounge chairs outside and watch them closely. Nikolai whimpers but continues to lay his head back down. I'm glad HES not mad that he was in the dark about Ethan. Fighting with a werewolf is bad. When they let their wolf get out of control, you're practically dead, especially if it's an alpha. Mommy, look at Nikolai's fur. It's so soft and black. I smile at him and nod my head in agreement. Come here. I have to ask you something. He stands up and makes his way to sit on my lap. Nikolai stands up and shifts back behind a tree. I'm going to go see your great-grandpa today. You can come if you want to, or you can stay here with your dad. What do you think? He stays quiet for a while. Deep in thought, I want to go. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I nod. Dylan comes back and tells us it's time to go. I nod and set Ethan down before getting up myself. We make it through the house and to the garage where we get into Dylan's Jeep. I position Ethan at the back and then I sit with Dylan in front. If it's okay with you, I want to introduce Ethan to the pack, Dylan says after a minute of silence. Do I really want the pack to know about Ethan? What will I do when it's time to go back? The pack want like a future elf and art raised around them. I'm okay with it. As long as he is, I say after some time of thinking it over. Dylan sends me a giant smile and asks Ethan if he wants to meet the pack. Ethan nods his head eagerly. And I don't think Dylan has ever looked so excited. One thing, though, I say, and he looks at me worriedly, then turns his head back to the road, nodding for me to continue. You strictly only introduce him as your son and not me as your mate. I see his hands grip the steering wheel a little harder. Why not? Dylan, please, let's not go through this again. You know what you did. And there's no more to it. We had 5 years to think about it. And just because back doesn't mean anything. For those 5 years, I regretted everything. Lily, I wish I could go back. But I can't. Please, just believe me. I don't. Dylan. He stays silent up to our arrival at the Pack Hospital. Before we get out of the car. I want to be with you. Lily. I do. But I will respect your decision. I nod. Open my door. And get out. I open the back door and Ethan hops out. He grabs my hand. And we make our way inside with Dylan trailing behind. We make our way towards room 249. The smell of blood, bleach, chemicals, and death invading my nose. We finally make it to the room. But I am frozen in place as I stood by the door. You can do this. Lily, Dylan says to me as he takes Ethan into his arms. I watch as Ethan lays his head on his dad's shoulder, both of them sending me matching smiles. Dylan puts a hand on my shoulder and gently squeezes it. Even though I don't want to be with Dylan, I know the mate bond will help calm my nerves. I let his touch bring me comfort, which I am thankful for. I take a deep breath before I turn the door handle and walk in. Gramps is in the hospital bed, hooked up to multiple tubes and wires. He has a bandage wrapped around his head, and his eyes are barely open, the baby blue eyes I inherited from him hidden. My heart clenches, and I'm frozen to my spot. My mom, Dad, and Lucas are all in the room, sitting around. Grandpa's eyes open as wide as they can at his state when he sees me. Ah, Rosie, is that you? I nod and walk over to him with the best smile I can put on. Oh, baby, I've missed you. He tries to hug me, but stops at the pain. I lean down instead and wrap my arms around him. I've missed you too. Gramps so much. I whisper in his ear, the tears falling down from my face and onto his. Hey, don't cry, it's going to be all right. I'm going to be with my mate again. And to say I died for my pack is the best way one can go out. And trust me, those dang stairs in my house want to be missing me too much. Trying to comfort me. I giggle softly and nod my head. I'm very honored to have called you one of my pack warriors. Rich Sr., you're an amazing man. And everybody in this room should be proud of you as I am. So thank you. Dylan says from the corner of the room. Thanks. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Milburn. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I appreciate it. I am honored to be in your pack, and I know you will do great things with it. I just wish I could have seen some great-grandchildren first. I laugh out loud and he gives me a questioning look. I think I can do that, Gramps. I say as I walk and grab Ethan from Dylan and bring him closer to Gramps. Lily, you had a kid. I laugh and nod. Ethan says a quiet hi and waves at him, tears from in Gramps' eyes. Well, come here. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Milburn. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. What's your name? But my mommy calls me Ethan, he says as he sits on the edge of the hospital bed. Ethan, that's a nice name. Son, what's your full name though? Ethan Rich. And your last name? Gramps asks. And I know I'm about to get a lot of questions. Matthews. Ethan says, a smile on his face. I can feel the stares, but I just ignore them as I continue to smile at Gramps. Matthews. You're saying, Gramps says, looking back and forth between me and Dylan. Yes, I whisper. You gave him my last name. Dylan asks as he stares at me with admiration in his eyes. I just said that. Lily A. Line. A cheers your alpha, you can't to him like that. Gramps scolds me. He had always been strict on rules. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Milburn. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Rich. Dylan says. Well, I thought my dying bed would be less interesting. But I was wrong. We all laugh at Gramps' carefree attitude. We spend most of the day at the hospital. Dylan left at some point to do some paperwork, but promises to pick us up. Ethan really likes Gramps, and it kills me to know that he won't be here to see Ethan become the next alpha. So, when are you moving down here? Lily, my dad asks, handing me a sleeping Ethan. You're not going to. Dad, I state sternly. You can't take Ethan away from his father, especially after just meeting him. Lucas argues just as sternly. He'll deal with that when it comes to it. And frankly, that's nobody's business. It's between me and Dylan. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Dylan has to walk in at that moment. What's my business? Nothing. I need to get Ethan home. Pointing to a sleeping Ethan, Dylan nods and takes Ethan from me. I give Gramps a kiss and promise to see him later, along with my parents. Lucas will be riding with us, but I don't say anything to him. We all climb into the Jeep with Dill and Ryden and Lucas in the passenger seat. Ethan and I sit in the back. As the car moves, I lay my head on the window and get lost in thought. I just visited the man I grew up with, the one who taught me how to fight. The one who told me everything was going to be okay when I shifted the first time, and now he is not going to be there anymore. Why did he have to get hurt? Why did the rogues gang up on him? Why couldn't he just hold on? I didn't know I was sobbing and violently shaking until the car pulled over. Lucas, take over the driving. I hear Dylan order Lucas, but he seems far away. I cry even harder thinking of him. Why did he not want me? Was I not good enough? He says he regrets it, but he never even came after me. I feel large arms wrap around me. Right away, I know it's him because of the tingles and the way my wolf is purring. That memories start to come back to me, and I start to become angry. I am good enough. I deserve to be Luna more than anybody else. He doesn't deserve me. I start to hit him on his chest, yelling at him, while the tears start to stop. How could you not want me? I was your mate. We have a kid together. He grabs my hands and pulls them to my side. He wraps his arms around me even tightly and whispers soothing words in my ear. I try to get out of his arms but fail miserably. I fall limply in his arms as exhaustion sets in. Moments later, I feel the car stop. Lucas gets out and takes an awakened Ethan into the house. My body is lifted off the seat and into a pair of arms. My eyes start to drift close, and I snuggle deeper into Dylan's chest. My eyes finally close, and I fall into a deep sleep.